Hello and welcome to Ableton OKC. I'm going to give you guys a quick lesson plan today that I put together. It's something that involves a type of bus, but without actually using your return tracks. Actually going to set up some decks and some audio tracks to handle all of your internal busing within your Ableton session and your live session. This can be helpful in a lot of different ways. You can DJ with something like this. Also, you can do a lot of live band looping and something I've done a lot of with a lot of instruments and things like that. So if you're trying to figure out a way to loop a lot of things live and to really condense it and bring it down into something easy and obtainable, this could be something cool to look at. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And with this first lesson, you can see I have this Ableton set open, how you would open up your Ableton sets if you have still the default set activated. You're going to come up with 2 audio clips and 2 MIDI clips. So I just want to start there. And let's just go to this first audio clip here. And we're going to start renaming it. So use your shortcut with Command R and name this first one Tracks or Samples A. Name the second one Deck A. And then on your MIDI tracks, we're going to name the first one Drums A. And the second one we're gonna name, let's go with a bass A. So right now I have these 4 tracks set up, and I'm gonna eventually do some routing in between. So first, what I like to do is kind of drag my track to the middle here, and my deck on the other side of it, and I'll show you why once we finish setting up everything. And I like to go ahead and color everything up. My decks, I just kind of pick a color. My drums are always red, bass green. Tracks are kind of like a grayish pearl color, I guess. And I like expanding out my deck track. So that's the start. And so what we're going to do from here is we're going to turn this almost into a master fader in a sense. So what we're going to do next is come to this track, and we're going to open up our I/O settings, which is an easy shortcut, Command Option I, and it's going to pop up your individual I/O settings at the bottom. So what we want to do is on this little tab it says Audio 2. Let's go ahead and send that to Deck A. Alright, and you can see on our 2 MIDI tracks, the drums and the bass, that it says MIDI 2. Well, that's because we don't have an actual device inserted on these tracks yet. So that's going to be one of the first things we want to take care of. So let's go ahead and click on this drums A and open up your operations menu over here. And go to your drums. And let's just use the basic 808 kit here. So I'm going to grab this 808, drop it on here. And all you have to do is just drag and drop. And if you wanted an empty drum rack, you just drag this first drum rack here, but I want one already made for time purposes. And I want to go ahead and collapse down this and just kind of look at this. You can see that these have samples inside of them. You know, you play it. And so now you can see that down here the audio 2 is now activated to an audio rather than this MIDI. Now this still is functioning as a MIDI track, not to be confused, but it is now sending audio out of it. So let's take this bass and let's go ahead and go to Instruments, and let's go to the Analog tab. It's just a stock synthesizer that Ableton offers. You can actually get some really great sounds out of it. And let's go ahead and click the down menu on it. Go to bass, and let's just put in this dual OSC wow bass. Let's just drag and drop it on bass A. You can see now that audio 2 is now activated. So let's send it Deck A, send that Deck A. So what I'm going to do is just record a quick MIDI clip here. So I'm going to double click on a clip, just open up my MIDI roll window here, my piano roll, and I'm just gonna do a C a couple times here, and I'm just double clicking. You can also hit B for your shortcut to get to your draw tool and draw them in. And then another thing I like to do is just kind of make them all like a custom length here. Maybe these two, I'm going to have legato. So I'm going to go ahead and stretch those out and have a little different pattern here, and I'm just playing a C. And then if you hit this little fold tab, actually folds it down to view only the notes that you've entered. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of my I/O settings now, Command Option I, and I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this track. And you can see that we're not actually hearing anything at the moment, and you're kind of wondering why am I not hearing anything? Well, the biggest thing that you have to do is we now have routed these 3 channels audio to this deck right here. So what we have to do is record arm, this deck, play, and you can now see we have this gray bar internally, which means that this track is receiving audio at the moment. So Command Option I, let's open back up our I/O settings, and let's turn our monitor onto auto. And now you can hear and see on our master that we are receiving audio signal. So now that we're receiving audio signal, let's set up the whole concept of everything as being able to crossfade between 2 decks. So you can open up your crossfader by this X at the bottom right of your Ableton set right here. And I'm going to go ahead and collapse back down this little section. So it's this little X right here, and it pops up in your crossfader, which is A to B, or a left to right, or channel to channel fader here. Right click it, and you can actually get into the modes of the crossfader. It should stay in constant power is where it starts, but I'm going to move it to transition. I like it. It's a little smoother for me. I don't like harsh transitions. I like to kind of filter in with reverbs and things like that. So I'm going to keep it on transition, and you can see that if I were to play this clip, I am getting audio, but I've moved it all the way to the right, still getting audio, and all the way to the left, still getting audio. So the biggest thing we have to do now is actually designate this deck to a side of this crossfader. So I'm going to say this is deck A, so I'm going to designate it to A, of course. So now when I move it to the right, I'm actually losing all my audio, and I'm slowly gaining power here, and then I'm completely powered right now. So that is the advantage of being able to use the crossfader within. Now the cool thing about this is people may ask why set it up like this, why not just use a return, something like that. Well, if I had a small drum pattern in here, and just a little kick pattern here, and throw on, let's say, just a little clap on the top here, and once again I'm just double clicking, and I were to play both of these clips right here, I can actually figure out a way to record both of those clips down in real time and sample them, resample, while live, while playing on the fly. And you can do this with a lot of things. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and then hit play again. And you can see when I start sampling in that I'm actually getting both audios. So you can see that I have done a live loop of both of these elements, which is really cool because you can set up whatever you want. You can set up your tracks for your remixing, a couple instruments, you know, if you have a live guitar, live bass, live keys, drum racks, drum packs, the machine, the push, you know, wherever you want to designate anything from, you can set it up and then you can loop it live. So to be able to take this setup and really take it to the max here is you're going to recreate this and only change the A to the B. So what I'm going to do is create 2 new audio tracks with a shortcut Command T, and then I'm going to create 2 new MIDI tracks with a shortcut Command Shift T. just like that. So this one is going to be deck B, and Command R is your rename again. Tracks B, bass B, and I like to kind of do like a mirror. Drums B, and they all created big because of the last one, so I'm just going to shift select all of them, hold shift, and condense them down a little bit. Go ahead and color these up. My decks I don't have a specific color for, but all these I do. So now we have this. So let's go to our drums. Once again, go to drums. Let's just pick a different kit here. A 909, throw that on there. And on the bass, let's just pick a little different bass. And I'm going to go with muted bass, dark. Throw that on there. Let's go ahead and delete this clip right here on your deck A. Double click, create a new clip. Come in, start putting some MIDI notes in. Easy way to do this is go ahead and fold it after you put one, if you're only going to put one note, that is. So go ahead and legato that. Extend to next played note. And on drums. On this kit, let's just do hi-hat pattern. So say we click in 4. You can actually select all. Look at where your blue highlight is right here. If you hit Command D, you're going to duplicate that whole thing. And then I like to go ahead and extend this velocity selector menu and hit B. Get to your pencil tool, and you can kind of start drawing in. You can start drawing in all your automation and kind of give it a little bit of a swing feel here. Just give it some energy. Alright, I'm going to take that back down. So you can see that I've got to open back up my Command Option I and go ahead and feed this into deck B, deck B, deck B. And don't forget to go ahead and turn your monitoring on auto and arm record. And then the last step is go ahead and make sure you're on B here. So you can see if I go ahead and move my crossfader all the way to the left, play something, you can't hear it. So if I moved my crossfader all the way to the right, now we're getting volume. So you can see the application of this, what you can do. The easiest way is just to go ahead and play a drum track from each side here. And you can see how it could be useful to do some cool little tricks and then be able to record down and condense it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you a project that I started when I started this tutorial video, and I made it all with my Ableton Push, and I use this technique and I'm able to crossfade and fade between things, so it's just a little start to the song. So I'm going to show you that. Alright, so now we're here looking at my live set, and this is just something I created with the push with some duplication, simple drums, some drum loops, a couple tracks in here that are just kicks, a little drum loop here. So I'm just going to kind of play this out for y'all, and you guys can see how I use it and watch some tricks that I can do with it. All right. Thank you all for watching. This again is Ableton OKC here in Oklahoma City, and this is our first tutorial video, and we've really had a fun time putting the Ableton OKC group together on Facebook, and we're starting to do some really active things. So keep up to date, and we're gonna keep sharing. Thanks.